My dad is Ted Turner. He's known by a lot of different iterations: Captain Planet, the Mouth of the South, Captain Courageous, Captain Outrageous, and I was raised by this man. And I have a lot of these things in me too. And today I just want to talk a little bit about an issue that makes a lot of people feel rather uncomfortable, and that's the world's population. I don't want to shy away from it because I think it is the most important thing and compassionate thing that we can do for our children and future generations. Let me just start by telling you that since the beginning of civilization of man to the year 1804, it took that long to add 1 billion people on the planet. Since then, since 1804, we have added 6 billion people. It took a little over 200 years to do that. But the last billion was added just in 12 years. We are on a really tough trajectory. We are adding 80 million people to this planet, a population the size of Germany, each year. 80 million. We can't even feed the people that we've got here now, much less feed that number of people. And the UN, UNEP, predicts that if we stay on the trajectory that we're on, this path, that we'll get to 11 billion people in just 40 years. So what we really need to do is get a handle on the world fertility rates, and there's a number of ways we can do it. But before I go there, I just want to talk about a few compelling factors: water scarcity and food scarcity. I know a lot of you know, but out of all the water that's on our planet, less than 1% is drinkable and usable for growing food. Only less than 1%, half of 1%. So what happens is now, since the 1970s, we have been irrigating with water from the ground, from ancient and surface aquifers. We have been pulling out the water at such a rate that it hasn't been able to recharge. The aquifers under the United States, China, India, and many other parts of the world are starting to run dry. And it's a very serious situation because it's going to lead to unbelievable food scarcity. Now, the countries that are wealthy enough to buy land are running to other countries, and they're buying up the land by millions of acres. They're moving farmers aside, people aside, they're growing the crops, and then they're exporting it to their own countries to feed their people, and leaving the host countries' people, hungry people, high and dry. What are we going to do about this situation? Well, we need to empower women and girls. And we can do this in a number of ways. There are a lot of successful programs around the world. But if we were able to give girls education, primary and secondary, free lunch programs at school, which encourages great attendance and lowers the early child and childbearing rate and marriage rate. We can also give them other options too, like ending violence against women and girls. We also need to make sure that we're giving them opportunities, microfinance, lending, and literacy programs to women that gives them the opportunity to have control of their financial well-being, which lowers fertility rates. There are other things that we absolutely need to do, let's see, to empower women and girls. We need to give them comprehensive health care and reproductive health care and family planning. They need options like we all have in this room for controlling the sizing, the spacing, and the timing of their families. I just returned from Nigeria. 42% of the women there want access to reproductive health care, but can't get it. That is a whopping 32 million women. This is just part of the 215 million women around the planet that can't get access to contraception. The cost to give these women what they want and what they need is $3 billion, which is a low price to pay, a low investment, was to have such a big impact. It is small in comparison with the $1.5 trillion global military budget that we have. And I know that if more women were in power, that they would be able to make the decision and make these programs happen right away for the benefit of humanity. There are model countries around the world. Several of them are just doing a great job of implementing some of these programs and cutting fertility rates. Rwanda is one, working with the UN, government agencies, and NGOs. They've been able to reduce their fertility rate from 6 children to 4 children in a matter of 5 years. They've decreased infant mortality and maternal mortality by 25%, and they've been able to increase contraceptive use by almost 50% in married women. Ethiopia, in 4 years, trained 30,000 healthcare workers that went out to rural areas and carried the messages about family planning. They were able to double contraceptive use in 4 years, they doubled contraception use, which was a great thing. And then the other country, Indonesia, for instance, did the same thing, and they were able to, in 40 years, reduce the fertility rate from 6 children per family to 2 children per family. And I just want to tell you one other thing. While we are here, there's a big conference going on in Senegal. It's the 2nd annual conference on reproductive and health and family planning. The UK just stepped up and made a big investment of $55 million for emergency contraceptive care for women in Africa. So there's a lot of reasons to be hopeful, and I know that we can get to where we need to be. It's our moral obligation, really. No matter what religion you profess to, we have to do it for our brothers and sisters abroad, for our sons and our daughters, and for the children yet unborn. I thank you very much.